I now call Deputy Lucinda Creighton.
Thanks very much, Lascian Corla, and thank you, Minister. I really welcome the opportunity to speak on this bill. It's early days. I know that there has been extensive consultation both at the committee and indeed with individual deputies, and I expect that in the actual committee stage there will be some positive and genuine engagement with the Minister, and I hope that some of the points which have already been made by deputies will be genuinely taken on board. And I know that there are concerns from certain sectors or certain representative bodies, I should say, within the sector, and I trust that those will be taken seriously and that there will be genuine engagement. I suppose I really welcome this opportunity to put a few points on the record. This is an industry, a sport, a sector that I'm deeply passionate about, and one that I think has been subjected to quite a lot of misinformation and quite a lot of negativity in recent times. And I think that's unfortunate, because this is a sport, firstly, where we excel. We are the best in the world. It is also an industry where we happen to be the best in the world, and that is something that I am deeply proud of as an Irish person. And it's something that I believe the vast majority of Irish people are extremely proud of. And I think we're probably a little bit shy about promulgating what a huge success the story is surrounding the thoroughbred sector, breeding and racing. Not only is it a massive contributor to the economy with, well, there are varying figures being bandied around even today in the Chamber, but in the region of about 17 or 18,000 people directly employed in the sector. But there are a huge number of people employed indirectly in rural Ireland because of the racing industry and because of the thoroughbred sector. So it is a hugely important part of rural life, rural Ireland, not just rural Ireland. You know, only up the road in Leopardstown we have a very important racecourse, and one that has a lot of local support in Dublin as well, but particularly in rural Ireland. And you know, we live in a time, sadly, of huge decline in rural Ireland, huge challenges in terms of rural depopulation, in terms of youth unemployment, emigration and so on. But throughout all of these difficulties, the racing sector has endured and has continued to excel. And when you think about the fact that we have racecourses in 17 counties, when you think about the fact that well over 1 million people attend race meetings every year, and I think as Deputy Hayden noted, that number is in fact not in decline, which is quite unique even if you go around Europe and look at other countries. And I think that that is something to be really proud of. It's a testament to the resilience, the hard work and indeed the vision of the people who work in the sector. Some of the racing festivals, Punchestown, Galway, Listowel to name just a few, are massive earners in their communities. Sometimes you know, huge drivers of growth and of employment at different times of the year, and that is hugely important. I think that we have been subjected to a certain degree of inverted snobbery about racing. You know, the notion that it is for an elite. Nothing could be further from the truth, particularly in the national hunt sector, but right across the board. This is an industry and a sport that really is about the common man and woman. It really is about ordinary people. And that is borne out by the fact that 93% of farms have just a handful of mares. It is the vast majority of breeders in Ireland are small-time breeders. A lot of them, you know, living the dream or hoping to live the dream, you know, investing and, you know, constantly year-round working to support their passion, and also hoping, I suppose, to strike gold at some point. Most people, unfortunately, don't, but it is a really important part of rural Ireland and of our way of life, and a really important sport that encompasses all strata of society, while at the same time attracting massive investment from some of the wealthiest people in the world. You know, we're all familiar with the investment that we have seen from different parts of the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia and so on, and even in recent times, huge investment coming from places like Qatar, and that's happening all the time, and it's not just in counties like Kildare, it's right across the country. I think one of the things that for me has been a feature of the thoroughbred sector over the last few decades is that there has been a vision, and it's not often that I'll stand in the chamber and give credit to previous Fianna Fáil governments, but I will give credit because I think it was a really bold step to introduce the stallion tax, for example, and the opportunity that came from that, the fact that it drove investment in the industry, the fact that it genuinely created an opportunity for Ireland to be one of the best places in the world to invest and to breed. And that legacy continues today, and it's something that, again, I think we should be very proud of. I mean, if you contrast it, unfortunately, to the sport horse sector, and I know, Minister, that you've done a lot of really good work on that over the last few years. You've commissioned studies and reports, and I hope that they will bear fruit in the sport horse sector. But that's an area where we took our eye off the ball, where we didn't have the same vision, we didn't have the same ambition, and unfortunately, we've gone from being one of the best producers of sport horses in the world to falling way down the rankings, now with just a handful of horses in the top 100 in the Longines rankings. And I think that that's unfortunate. So we need to see, I guess we need to see a new vision in the thoroughbred sector and a new vision for racing, and I think that a lot of that is linked to the sort of stable and long-term supply of funding and investment. That goes back to the betting tax amendment bill. It goes back to the gambling control bill as well. We need an integrated approach. I think that while there has been great ambition, certainly on the part of Minister Coveney, and I welcome it, I think that unfortunately there hasn't necessarily been the same degree of support from other elements of the government, and I think that's unfortunate. I think that we have to really push for it. There has to be long-term secure funding for the industry, and that has to be left without any doubt. You know, we have seen certain worrying trends, I would say, in recent times. While the value of exports is rising, the number of horses exported is falling. I think that obviously we are selling the best, and that's welcome. But you know, we have to consider the needs in terms of the medium and long-term objectives of breeding, of training, and of ultimately of standing the very best stallions in this country. That's what the tax exemption for stallions was about in the past, and I just think that there is a slightly worrying trend there that the Minister, I'm sure, is well aware of, but that we need to really concentrate on trying to address. Equally, racehorse ownership has declined. I'm between two minds as to whether that's necessarily a negative. You know, I think that we saw during the Celtic Tiger era, you know, too many bad horses running, frankly. In the same way that we saw too many bad horses being produced in the sport horse sector. I think we have to focus on quality. I think that there are many ownership models that can be pursued and encouraged and incentivised, in fact, by the government, you know, through taxation, whatever. But you know, it has to be targeted, and I don't think that we can go back to, you know, producing low-quality stock just to pump up the numbers. I think it's really important that that we continually and rigorously focus on quality, and I know that the Minister feels the same way about that. I didn't mention tourism, but tourism is a really important factor, and it's one that we overlook often when we quantify the value of the sector in this country. I think there have been some really interesting and welcome innovations in recent years, like the Champions Weekend, for example, something that I'm hugely supportive of, and I think that we need to develop a lot more of our tourism industry around the horse equestrian sector generally, be it sport horses, be it, you know, the hunting sector, be it racing and so on. And a lot of that can be integrated because often it's the same people who are interested in all the different elements. So I think there's real potential there. A lot of the concerns that I have already been highlighted by Deputy Lawler. But I think that, you know, when you focus, Minister, and I know that's what this bill is largely about, when you focus on, you know, efficiencies and cost savings, so on, I think it's really important that the integrity of our regulatory system, the independence of our regulatory system, is not compromised. And I think there are real risks in this bill. I think Deputy Lawler already pointed to the experience in the UK. It's not one that I think we should replicate. And I think there's a real risk that the independence of the Turf Club will and can be compromised by this legislation. I know that these concerns have been brought to your attention already. I'm sure you've given them consideration, but I think more consideration needs to be given before this gets to committee stage. I've no doubt that there will be amendments tabled at that point to try to improve the bill and to try to ensure that this drive towards efficiency is not delivered at ultimately at a cost to the integrity of the sector and the integrity of the independence of the turf club. This is something that you've heard many times, but it's something that I really think you have to give serious consideration to. I know I've run out of time, so unfortunately there are a few other points that I'd like to make. I won't get an opportunity at this stage, at second stage, last Corla, but I will certainly hope to be in a position to do so at committee stage.